The US men's national soccer team played Australia in their second game of the 2026 FIFA World Cup competition. And the game ended 2-0 in favor of the US. Now I know that a lot has been made of the US performance on the pitch. But the main story for me is the subplot and all the stories surrounding the US concerning the national team, the men's soccer national teams, that is. And in this video, I'm going to try to scratch the surface a bit of a couple of stories about players in this team that has not been covered enough or that has not been brought to you. Let's get into it. Hi and welcome to Beyond the 90 channel with me, Aben. In this video, I'm going to be going into some bit of stories outside the pitch and a little about what happened also on the pitch. But it's going to be centered about some intangible stuff about the US men's national team. Now, this game was played in Seattle, and I mean, I live in Seattle, so I got to see firsthand what this football match meant to people and what it did for people. For starters, I mean, there were no tickets to get, to buy to go see the games. I know a couple of people who got the tickets, but generally the tickets were hard to come by. And there's a lot of watch parties across states in the US and in Washington, to be specific, around the greater Seattle metro area. There were a couple of watch parties in places around, and there was a watch party in downtown Seattle by the waterfront, and the scenes were epic. It was a sea of people. There were floods of people. You could tell that not everybody cared about football or soccer, but the occasion was great enough that it brought the casuals out and the diehard. And, everybody was having a good time, but everybody was in high spirits following the US. Now, the high spirit in itself, the catalyst was from the pitch, from the singing of the anthem. Like all the players looked quite engaged in the anthem. Everybody sang it. Everybody looked quite into what they were doing. They took it serious. Like you could tell these guys were really proud of what they were doing. And the stadium joined with echoes of the anthem, and it was really loud. People were happy. People were confident. Now, in the 250th birthday celebration of this country, it kind of had a feeling and a spirit around it that affected this game as well in a positive way. And at the end of the game, there was a song that was playing in the stadium, Country Road, and the vibe was there. You could hear a lot of people singing the song. Actually, like there was something going on in the stadium. There was a huge vibe. It was like it was just infectious. The national anthem, and after the anthem, or after the game, when the Country Road song came on and everybody was singing in unison. Now, what happened after the game was even epic. In streets in Seattle, there was like a whole street where people blocked it and they were celebrating the US win. They were singing together, neighbors joining in arms to celebrate the US. And this is what football can do. This is what sports can do. It brings people together. And there's a feeling of positive vibe. There's a lot of optimism in the air around this US national team. And I know that people are expecting them to get to the quarters. For my money, I think they can make it to the semis. Honestly, I think they are that good. And I think once they get to the semis, they'll be playing with house money from then on. And who knows? I don't think they will win based off the other teams in the competition. But once they get to the semis, who is to say that they cannot win? So you may never know, but I'll be glad if they win anyway. Like it's going to mean a lot to people, and I'm going to be happy to see the US win the World Cup. Now, there are a couple of stories I want to touch on about some of the players in this team. This US team has a unique blend of a lot of foreign-born players and players born to like immigrants and players who, could have played for other countries, but they all came together and it's this big melting pot of, if you like, different and special and peculiar traits coming together to form one big, beautiful team. Now, there's a story of Weston McKennie, who was born in Fort Lewis in the state of Washington to a military father, but his father had to move to Germany, as an army, as someone who serves in the army. They get moved around, so he moved to Germany with his dad before coming back to the US. So when you see him on the pitch and you see how he's like energetic, like he's not a military guy, but on the pitch, he's leaving it out there. Like he's a player who makes sure he doesn't go home with any regret. He leaves it out there. And I'm really happy to see him play. Like he's industrious, he's energetic, he goes for it. He's trying to make things happen for the US. There's Malik Tillman, who was also born in Germany to a military father. So seeing them sing this anthem with a lot of vibe and a lot of seriousness, you could tell that the patriotism comes from home. And Malik Tillman was also born in Germany, raised in Germany actually by a military father as well, and he's come to represent the US. There's Serginho Dest, who was born in the Netherlands. There's Flo Balogun, who was born in the US, but his parents left about a month after he was born back to UK. There's Tony Robinson, the fullback, who was also born, the left fullback, in England. And all these guys have come together with all these experiences, but there's one thing that unites them: the passion for the USA. And so when you put all these things together, it's just unstoppable. They cannot be stopped. Their will is unstoppable. Now, this US men's national team is a team that, from the game against Australia, they showed that they have some grit and fight to them. The first game against Paraguay, they did it another way. And yesterday, without their talisman in Christian Pulisic, they showed a lot of grit and determination. There's one thing you cannot beat the US with, is athleticism. Like, they are very, very, very athletic. Every American sport requires you to be athletic to some degree. So if you add the original US athleticism to this spirit that these players have, only special things can happen. And Mauricio Pochettino looks to go for the game right from the blast of the whistle. This is why I'm positive that the US has something special coming our way in this World Cup, and I cannot wait for it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you feel the same way? What vibe are you getting from this US men's national team? Are you supporting them at all? And what do you think? I am. I implore you to come support the US as well. This is a great nation, by the way. I mean, the foreigners or visitors who are coming into this country, there's a ton and there's a litany of videos online of people's first-hand experience of the US. And I think it's a great nation, it's a great place. And I want to see them do well. The World Cup would be one of the places where, if the US gets it, it will be great. Thank you for joining me in this video. Bye for now.